Run it back for the boys from 69, back for the fans on 12th and Vine. Run it back to back and raise it high.
Right, hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the MKE CHIEFScast live from the Wolf Den Special Edition, where we will be joined by a very, very special guest. As always, I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris. Our special guest is the 2018 and 2019 Arkansas CMA Male Vocalist of the Year, recording artist Blane Howard, and also the writer and performer of the song Run It Back.
All right, and we are, of course, presented by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth lighting, and coordination services. And also make sure to check out chrisrauart.com for more pieces like the stuff we've had in our background. So let's get to work on this. So, Blane, I guess the first question that we have is, you wrote a song that's a Chiefs anthem. So how did you actually become a Chiefs fan being from Arkansas?
Well, I was actually born about 90 miles south of KC in a little town called Fort Scott, if you know where that is, just north of Pittsburgh, where Pitt State is. I know a lot of people from that area maybe went to college there. Was born there. Was born down there, and my mom's entire side of the family is from up there. I've still got cousins that live in that area. I've got a cousin that lives in KC. And then growing up, being up there with my grandparents, my grandfather was always watching the Chiefs games when we were there. So that's just the first team that I was ever really introduced to as a kid. Would watch the games with him when I was little, and it just kind of grew from there, man.
So from the family affair, you somehow found yourself living in Nashville and being a recording artist. So let's talk about the path of being a kid growing up in Arkansas and hanging out with the family and rooting for the Chiefs to ending up in the country music capital of the world.
Yeah, grew up in Arkansas, grew up listening to country music and always enjoyed singing. Was in choir and all that through high school and did all of the, all region, all state stuff, and got some scholarship offers to some music schools and things like that. And just singing was something I always enjoyed doing. And even when I was a little kid, I wanted to be Alan Jackson. I've got pictures of me in front of the TV with CMT on, just singing along to his songs. And just one day in high school, I think my junior year, came in one day from football practice and said, I think I want to be a singer. I want to move to Nashville and, do country music for a living. And so we just started doing some research on it. And one of my best friends from high school, his cousin went to Belmont for something completely different. It wasn't a music degree, but she suggested to go check it out. And so we did. We took a visit there that summer and just fell in love with it. Everything from all the performances they offer. The arena that's on campus has hosted the CMT Music Awards. It's pretty sure it's hosted the ACMs or CMAs one year as well. They've got recording studios in the basement of a couple of the buildings for the students to use and record in. I was like, this is the place where I need to be. So moved there, and obviously with the alumni they have too, with Josh Turner and Trisha Yearwood and Brad Paisley. Belmont just was the right place to be for me, and met most of the people that I continue to play music with and write songs with today. And yeah, that's just kind of what got me there to Nashville.
So a few quick follow-up questions. So let's talk about the choir type of arrangements. What was your part in the co-ed choir? And if you did any men's choir, what was your singing part there?
I was usually in just our choir in our high school. I would sing like the bass part or baritone line if there was one. For all state, it's actually divided into 1 and 2 for every for every singer. So soprano 1 and 2, alto 1 and 2, all that. So I sang bass 1, which was more baritone for that.
Yep.
So that's what. Just because I have a pretty wide range, I can hit most of the low notes and the bass stuff, and I can kind of reach into the kind of tenor 2 area as well. I didn't really do any men's chorus except for 1 year at All-State. I did make the men's chorus there. I believe it was my sophomore year, which was so much fun because it's just, there's something about, I know it sounds weird, but a men's chorus is that like, they're so much fun to watch. All the songs are really cool arrangements. It just comes out so differently and you don't get to hear it very often. So we had a lot of fun doing that. And I believe I was bass 1 in that as well.
Yeah, B1 baritone is the lead singer and that type of stuff. Growing up as 90s kids, I can't say that I necessarily love the whole boy band era, but there were certain parts of it that I really liked. And like the band 98 Degrees actually
Oh
went out
yeah,
of their way to do 4-part male harmony, and I always appreciated that. And
yes they did.
Nick Lachey was a great B1 and also a member of the fraternity that I was in college. So let's get really interesting here on that. And I didn't know that we were going to be talking about 98 Degrees, but here we are. So
Hey, they were one of my favorites back then for sure.
yeah, good stuff. So your path to Nashville, it sounds like you never lost your Chiefs fandom. And I get the impression that you've been to plenty of games at Arrowhead. So what is your favorite Arrowhead memory in all the times you've been to Arrowhead?
I've actually only been lucky enough to go twice in my life, and they were recent because growing up, we couldn't, drive 8-9 hours to Kansas City all the time to go to games. And I played high school football, so Fridays were games for me, and it wasn't going to be play on Friday, drive up there Saturday, and possibly miss Sunday or miss Monday for school. So I didn't get to go to any games until I actually graduated college because Nashville's even further away. The first game I ever went to was a couple years ago, the game against the Colts in the snow. Um, when we finally beat the Colts in the playoffs after all those years of getting close and all that. So that was a lot of fun for me because it was my first game. It was 20 degrees. There was snow everywhere. It was our first home playoff win since the 90s or something like that. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun for
1994.
me. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun, and I got to meet a lot of really cool people through that stuff as well. Around that same time, because I was going to my first game, I did a little parody, like a Chiefs parody of, the blues song Kansas City. And through that, kind of got some fans in the KC area. So got to meet some of the tailgate groups and some other people that worked at the stadium, which was really cool. And they got to kind of show me around the stadium a little bit during halftime and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. And then last year I got to take a buddy of mine who's a big Packers fan to the Chiefs-Packers game. Unfortunately,
Nice.
Mahomes wasn't playing, so
Yep.
he was a little disappointed in that. But he was just absolutely blown away by how loud it was. He's been to dozens of games at Lambeau, and Arrowhead was the one place that he wanted to go to be like another stadium that wasn't for the Packers, and he was just completely blown away by the whole experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember the last time the Chiefs played the Packers in a regular season game. It was Monday Night Football, and we threw a pretty good tailgate. And ironically, actually, this isn't ironic at all. This is like Atlantis Morissette ironic. We bought a bunch of brisket and we made Z-Man sandwiches in the parking lot. And it was raining, so we're handing out all these like soaked Kaiser rolls with brisket on the way in. And it was a game where this would have been Alex Smith era, and this was back when Clay Matthews was still a stud. And if you haven't been to a game at Lambeau is a really nice field. It's a great place, and so I remember networking with a bunch of people there, and what I thought was funny was at the end of the game, the Chiefs had lost, and there were all these Packer fans who were just like, well, hey, at least you got to come see Lambeau. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? I'm like, we have a great stadium too.
Right.
It's like, stop it. There was no privilege in coming up here to see the best stadium in the NFL. There was privilege in seeing a good stadium and a good team. And, I'd appreciate a little bit of mutual respect here, but anyway, so those are two great games to go to. So, of the times you've been there, who is your favorite player to watch play live?
Oh man, Travis Kelce was really good in that Packers game last year. Considering that Matt Moore was playing, he had such a good game that game. He really helped us control the offense so much. He had that really great touchdown where he was facing one way and it was kind of thrown up in the air, and he had to swing his head around like Willie Mays style and almost like catch it over his shoulder. That was pretty impressive. I'm trying to think the first game against the Colts. I just remember it was cold and we held Andrew Luck to like one passing touchdown. The defense played really, really good that game. I think somebody had a couple of sacks. Was it either Justin Houston or somebody like that in that game before, of course, he went and played for the Colts.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think
Either
it
him or
may have
Chris
been
Jones,
somebody else,
probably.
but yeah, I remember the defense playing really well that game because all year long we heard about how the Chiefs defense was like ranked 31st in the league, which it came back to bite us against the Patriots, but they really stepped up in that game against the Colts.
Gotcha. So let's get into the heart of the subject matter that we really want to talk to you about. Run It Back. So Run It Back is a phenomenal song. You totally got your Tim McGraw on. So let's talk about that song in particular. How did that song materialize? Did you wake up one day and just go, by God, I'm in a very Chiefs mood and I want to write a song about the Chiefs? Or were you sitting around with buddies having beers one night and going, hey, the Chiefs need to run it back, and next thing you know, the guitar breaks out around the campfire? Or was it a mix of all of those things? Tell us about the collaborators. How did the song come about?
So, like I said, I did the little parody video for the first game that I went to against the Colts, and that video kind of took off in the KC area. They played it on a couple of the news stations, got me in with a lot of the kind of fan pages in KC and stuff like that through Facebook and all that. And when they won, people were just sending messages and comments like crazy, like, well, you've got to do another one for the Patriots game. So I did, and still had a great response, and we lost. But the game one the next season, people were messaging me, you've got to do a song, you've got to do a song. So I did one then, and then as the season kind of went on, we could see that, another playoff run was coming. So I started doing them for the playoffs last year. And the same kind of thing happened. The people that saw it the first time were sharing it, and the 8:10 a.m. sports station had me on to interview every week as we won, and I changed the song up every week as we progressed through the playoffs. And then, of course, we won the Super Bowl, and I went to the game.
Yes, we did, by the way.
Yes, we did. I didn't get to see – this wasn't a game at Arrowhead, but I have been to 3 Chiefs games. One of them was at Hard Rock Stadium last year. My sister-in-law
you're beating most Chiefs fans in the world, by the way.
That probably counts for 5 games instead of just 1.
Well, the price
counts for 5 seasons
sure.
worth of games.
Yeah.
So my sister-in-law lives in Fort Lauderdale. She's in a residency program down there, and she lives 15 minutes from the stadium. So
nice.
I can go stay with her and not have to pay thousands of dollars on the hotel room. And so I flew down there and stayed with her, and then just miraculously got into the game. I bought a ticket from a guy, like pretty much as the flyover was like going over the stadium. I think I got to my seat like right as we scored that first touchdown. It was just like, okay, I'm in. I've got to get through all this stuff and kind of see what's outside the stadium, run in real quick. And I don't know how to that upper deck section, but I was one row from the back. I could reach back and like just one arm, put my hand against the concrete of the back of the stadium.
So here's what I heard. You were in the building.
I was in the building, though. I was in the building. Yes. Yep. I was in the building. I went by myself. I sat with a group of Chiefs fans that I'd never met in my life. And it's still something that I'll just continue to remember and have memories forever. This group of just random people that I met. And we're all up there crying as, Damian Williams is running for this touchdown to like clinch the Super Bowl. It was incredible.
That's great. Okay. So,
sorry, I realized you asked, how did the song come about? And then I went into a whole nother thing there. Sorry.
I forgot that I asked that question. So
Me too.
How did that song come about? That would be a great story to hear. We're totally not reminiscing about football games we've been to and what we think about running, being fans of this team.
Oh gosh. So because of those videos and the success in the Super Bowl and me, being on the radio in KC and the news stations playing it, I thought for this season, it's like, well, instead of doing a parody, why don't I try and like write my own original song? And I was trying to think of ideas like, do I make it just about the Chiefs? But then you got to throw in player names, and it can somewhat date the era, which is not a bad era to date. But
no.
rather make it somewhat kind of generic to not just be about players. But then I was like, run it back. Run it back is the theme for this year. It was like we he heard it preseason. We'd heard it all the way through. It was like week 3 or 4. I had started. It's like Run It Back's gotta be the song. So I sat down. It's like wrote the first verse and chorus. I was like, I'm gonna test this out. Posted it on social media, and it just blew up. Tens of thousands of views in a span of a week or 2. And I was like, okay, I think Chiefs fans are liking this. So went in and wrote the rest of it, and then got with a buddy and got it recorded right before the regular season ended. And it's just been crazy to watch it take off, man. They're playing it all over KC stations, and fingers crossed. I'm hoping the Chiefs are going to use it in some type of, highlight video for a playoff game if we can, cross our fingers again if we win and continue to move on.
Outstanding. Well, so we we definitely do the music thing at our watch parties, and I can assure you that song is part of our watch party up here in Wisconsin. And that really leads well into the next question that I had. So the hype video that you had, it's got a bunch of game footage and just having a little bit of an idea of what, generally speaking, music and video type of licensing looks like. How did that come together? Did you have any kind of collaboration process with the team or the NFL? What did that look like? Or
well, we've all been on YouTube and we've seen, highlight reels that people put together on their own accounts and things like that. And there's not a whole lot of views on them, or it's not monetized in some way. And so that maybe the copyright stuff doesn't pick up on it. So we found this guy that's a KC native and lived there, and he made these great highlight reel videos and hype videos and stuff like that. And so we just kind of reached out to him. His name's Cornell Gorman. He does a great job. All his videos are great. And we just said, hey, you do these great hype videos. You've kind of got this following from these videos anyway. Would you like to do one for us and just use the song? And so that's just kind of the way we did it, and we shared it that way. And, via YouTube or Facebook, if it gets flagged as copyright infringement or whatever, that's okay. We really just wanted to use it as a way to introduce the song to people before the song was available for download. It kind of gave us a couple of weeks of promo. And because of that, it got us, got me on with a lot of the news stations and radio stations in KC and all that stuff. So, technically, if there's someone from the NFL listening, they'll probably go and find the video and flag it and all that stuff. But if it gets flagged at this point, that's okay. We've just really enjoyed the response that we've had from so many people, not only on the song, but the video that Cornell did as well.
Yeah, definitely love the hundreds of thousands of views that you guys have had. And, hopefully everybody's just kind of looking at this as we're all trying to just collaborate as fans. And,
Absolutely.
500,000 people watching a video, what could possibly be going wrong here?
Well, and I think, like I was saying, the hope was that, maybe it'll get flagged, but it gets picked up enough to where someone in the, team's content or social media department decides to use it on some type of highlight video or something that they post with the footage that's owned by the team and not by the NFL. So, we're crossing our fingers. It's supposed to happen. So we'll wait and see whenever that gets posted. And of course, I'll be sharing it everywhere, and I'll be really excited. I'm amazed, and I'm so happy that the team has actually heard it and listened to it, and some of the people in the management department have heard it. So that was kind of my ultimate goal, just to gain fans in the KC area, give people a song to listen to get hyped up for the games, and hopefully somewhere down the line the team sees it. And obviously, if they win the Super Bowl and we do run it back, then I can just use it again next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Run it back again.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. So I hope you're writing Run It Back Again.
Run it back again. I'm working on it already.
There you go. No, I mean, I can tell you definitely reached us, and we definitely love the song. So to get into the Run It Back Again, are we gonna be running it back this year and running it back again next year? Are you gonna be writing that song next year?
Personally, I think so. I'm confident enough.
I agree.
Obviously, every KC fan has been through the years of the disappointment and the close calls and all that stuff, and that's still somewhere in the back of our mind going, nope, this, there's something that could go wrong or whatever. And obviously injuries can happen and things like that. And the thing from last year that I try and remember is when Mahomes came back that first game against the Titans, he wasn't quite 100%. But that next week on, we've lost one game since then. We're 23-1, and it's because everyone on the offensive line, defensive line, all the receivers, running backs, like head to toe, was completely healthy through that entire playoff run. And that's where I think this, 2.5 weeks off is really going to be beneficial for this team. I know that there's a lot of people that may say they're going to come out sluggish because they've been off this long, but man, this team, as good as we are, going 14-2, 14-1 with Mahomes starting and pretty much all the starters out against that Chargers team and still playing well. This team is lined up to do it again if we can stay healthy. So that's where my fingers are crossed.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions we have. Any parting shots on the team? Anything you want to say regarding the team or this run it back run before we go?
Oh man, I don't really have any parting shots. You mean like take a jab at somebody or just like a little comment?
However you want to take that, by all means.
That's right.
I don't really have any, I hope that the linebackers that are healthy and are playing, find their assignments and play well. I hope that the linemen, the offensive linemen that are healthy and playing do well as well. Not having, Mitchell Schwartz, who's, top 5 tackle in the league, for sure the best right tackle in the league. Not having him healthy is going to be tough. Eric Fisher's playing probably at 75 to 80%, at least the last couple of weeks of the season that he played. So I'm really just hoping that those guys can get healthy and do what they can. I have all faith and confidence in Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey and Honey Badger and all those guys, Chris Jones. We know Chris Jones, he may not get the sacks, but he's going to put pressure on the quarterback pretty much every snap. So no real parting shots other than please stay healthy.
Chris Jones is part of the game plan on both our side and the opponents. Chris, do you have anything before we go for tonight and set in August? Hey, we're getting ready to set up for a new season after we won 2 Super Bowls meeting.
I'm going to piggyback on the Chris Jones comment. I looked this up the other day, but this is one metric, but Chris Jones is second in quarterback pressures in the NFL to TJ Watt. So
that's correct.
He is.
He's had a very, very good season, even though he doesn't have the sack numbers.
Well, and considering he doesn't play on the edge as much as TJ Watt does too, it's harder to get sacks up the middle when it's easier to get double teamed. Not that TJ Watt's not getting double teamed. That dude's a freak. But he's had a great season quietly just because he didn't have the sack numbers. But he's been on that QB pressures list the entire year.
Yeah.
And cheers to a continuation of Chris Jones playing in TJ Watt not.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's it for ChiefsCast. So don't forget to go check out Blane and his music. Go to Spotify and also make sure that you check out Chris Rao. Also download Blane's music through Apple Music or any of the other places that you go to download music. Definitely check his stuff out. We got Run It Back, and that's definitely what we're planning on doing. And good night, Chiefs Kingdom.
So run it back for the boys from 69, back for the fans on 12th and Vine. Run